Hello everyone, welcome to the Bodhi Academy. Today we'll start with Standard 12 Economics PYQ of Chapter 6, that is Determination of Income and Employment. Here in this chapter we'll learn about different components of aggregate demand, then we'll learn about consumption function, saving function, investment multiplier and all. Okay, so let's start with the first question, which is explain components of aggregate demand. Okay, now with regards to components of aggregate demand, first we'll learn what aggregate demand is. Aggregate demand is nothing but it is a sum total expenditure of domestically produced goods and services in a particular country during an accounting year. Okay, so now with regards to components of it, there are different components, and these components we have classified as C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay, so here C stands for consumption, I is investment expenditure, G is government expenditure, and X minus M is export minus import. Okay, so now the first one will move to, that is the consumption expenditure. Consumption expenditure in the sense private consumption expenditure. Okay, now this refers to the total expenditure incurred by the household. Okay, this then on the purchase of goods and services during a given period of time. Now here it is generally depends on the level of disposable income. Then see, higher the level of disposable income, higher is the private consumption expenditure. So it means that higher is your income, higher is your consumption expenditure, private consumption expenditure, which is done by household. Okay, then next we'll move to this I, which is investment expenditure, private investment expenditure, and it refers to an expenditure done by the private investors, okay, on the purchase of such goods which add to their stock of capital. Now here this implies investment implies increases in the stock of capital, which is also called as capital formation. So here they are going to add the capital to into their stock, the private investors. Okay, next we'll move to G, that is government expenditure, private government expenditure. So this includes both consumption expenditure and the government investment expenditure. So here it is both consumption and investment expenditure. Okay, so now government consumption expenditure is the expenditure on purchase of consumption of goods, and investment expenditure like investment on defense goods and services. Okay, investment on defense or construction of roads, dams, bridges. This is government investment expenditure. Okay, then we'll move to X minus M, which is export minus import. So this states that export refers to the demand for domestically produced goods, right? While import refers to the demand by our resident of our country for the goods and services which is produced abroad. Okay. Now expenditure by foreigners on our good is added to total expenditure, that is AD in the economy. This aggregate demand. So expenditure done by the foreigners on our goods, that is our exported goods, is added to this aggregate demand. Okay. Now while expenditure on import is subtracted from this aggregate demand. So aggregate demand, you can say that AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Okay. So this is the equation of aggregate demand. So now we'll move to the second question, that is explain consumption function with the help of neat label diagram. Okay. Now consumption is nothing but whatever the people spend on the purchase of goods and services in order to consume the particular goods and services, right? So here it directly here we consumption we denote as C, and income we denote as Y. So as we have learned earlier that as income increases, consumption also increases. This is what we are going to learn over here. But if you see in this schedule, it is given that income is 0, consumption is 30. Yes, so it means that the people don't have any income right now, but still they have consumption. Still they are consuming the good. It means that they are either borrowing from somewhere, or they are either using this amount from their saving. Okay, in order to consume the goods and services. Okay, so even though their income is zero currently, they are either borrowing from their friends, relatives, or from any other source for the consumption purpose. So consumption is still there. Okay, but with regards to next, when income is less, so this part is important, and this, when income is 20, consumption is more. Yes, so it means that even though income is less, consumption will still go on in their life. But if you see, when income is 40, consumption is also 40. Okay, it means zero. So it means that income is 40 and consumption here is also 40. It means there is no saving over here. So savings is zero here. Okay, so savings is zero. Okay, so all the expenditure is done by the for the consumption purpose here. Whatever they are getting the income, they are just spending it on consumption stuff. Okay, so here they are not saving anything. But if you see, as the income rises here, as it becomes 60, 80, 100, you can see there is like decrease in the consumption. Like here, if the income is 60, consumption is 50. Here, if his income is 80, consumption is 60. Here, if there the income is 100, consumption is 70. It means that here, as the income increases, people has started to save their money. Okay, so here it is nothing but the amount of money spent by the people on the purchase of goods and services in order to satisfy their wants. So at first part we can see that in savings are literally zero over here, but as income increases, the savings are there. Okay, savings, the people have started to save over here. So this is directly related to the level of income. Okay, consumption expenditure increases as income increases. So as your income increases, consumption expenditure also increases. Okay, however, there is a minimum level of consumption irrespective of the level of income. Now, after certain level, we have seen that income, as it is increasing, people have started to save. Okay, so here the behavior of consumption with respect to income is known as consumption function. So this is what the market behavior of the people is. Okay, even though their income was zero, they were still consuming it, either if they were borrowing it from somewhere, or they are using it from past savings. Okay, now I'll explain this with the help of a diagram. So here we have taken income on x-axis and consumption on y-axis. So if you see, this is the consumption line, and here this is a 45-degree line. Okay, so consumption is equal to income. This is a 45-degree line, and now what does it states that income here, as I said, income is shown on x-axis and consumption is shown on y-axis. The 45-degree line indicates that consumption is equal to income. So C is equal to Y. Here we have denoted income as Y. Okay, so it would be wrong to assume that the income consumption line starts from the origin here. Now, so if you see at point Q, what has happened is that as the income is equal to consumption. Now, as the income goes on increasing, consumption also increases. So here, as our income increases, consumption here also it is increasing. So if you see, consumption is more over here. Okay, it is going above the income line. Okay, but as our income starts to increase, as it goes from here, our consumption is starts declining. So this part is this. It means that people has started to save in this particular part. Okay, this the second part of it is this. Okay. Now, at point Q, income is equal to consumption, as I said, and as the income goes on increasing, consumption also increases, but at a diminishing rate. Okay. Now, below point Q, consumption is more than income, and above point Q, above point Q, income is more than the consumption. This is what consumption function is. So we'll move to the next question, number 3, that is explain saving function with the help of neat label diagram. Okay. Now, with regards to saving function, saving is the excess of income over consumption. Okay, so this we denote as S is equal to Y minus C. Y is income, so income minus consumption is equal to saving. So here if you see the diagram, it is mentioned income, consumption and saving. So everything is coming into this picture. This schedule will explain. I'll explain. Now income, when income is 0, consumption is 800. Okay. And savings are negative. It means that even though income, you don't have any income, but still your consumption is going on. It means that either you are borrowing money for consumption purpose or you are using your past savings. Okay, or you are using your past savings. That's why this saving is in negative, minus 800. Now here the second case is also same. Income is 1000, but your consumption is more. It is more by 200. So savings, is there any savings over here? No, there are no savings because your income is only 1000, but you are spending more, spending extra by 200. So there is no saving. Okay, so that's why this is in negative. Now, if you see the next part, that is when income is 1300, your consumption is also same. Okay, so it means that whatever you are getting, whatever income you are getting, that only you are spending. Okay, you are not saving anything. So that's why here savings are 0. It means that there is 0 savings over here or no savings. 0 savings. Then when as the income increases, now here is the part where your income get increases. Okay, consumption also, you can see there is consumption is less. Where income is 1400, your consumption is little less, right? It is 1350. And how much you are saving out of this? You are just saving 50. Okay, but as you see, when income increases to 1600, your consumption is less. It is less by 150 because this extra thing you are saving. So it means again here there is a positive relationship, and as income increases, your saving also increases. Okay, so I'll explain this. Like consumption we saw earlier, saving also directly related to the level of income. Okay, saving increases as income increases. So as I said, your as income increases, saving also increases. However, since there is always a minimum level of consumption, so since here there was a minimum level of consumption, but if you see the first part, there was like more level of consumption even though your income was less. Okay, saving must be negative as long as consumption to greater than income. Okay, now obviously at now this part is called as break even part. Okay, this is break even point where your income is equal to consumption. So here what has happened is your Y is equal to C. Okay, and there is no savings. Savings are 0 over here. So S is equal to 0. Okay, saving we denote as S. Okay, now the behavior of saving with respect to income is called as saving function. So this is what here saving function is in short. Okay, this is, I'll explain with the help of a diagram. Now income is given on x-axis and saving is given on y-axis. Okay, so this is the saving function. Okay, it is the saving behavior of the people with respect to income, that is called as saving function. Now this straight line, it shows a positive relation between the saving and the income. Okay, when income is 0, saving is negative. So here when income was 0, saving was negative. So that's why this is coming downwards. This is coming on the negative part. So when income was 0, saving was negative over here. So that's why this line is coming downward. Okay, now saving increases with increase in income. So as the saving increases, it becomes positive. Okay, when income is 1300 over here, it was saving was 0 because everything we used to spend now. So break even point occurs at this part. Now, S, where S is equal to S, saving is equal to 0, this one. After the break-even point, as the income increases, saving also increases. Okay, this is what I have explained with the help of this schedule and the diagram. Okay, so we'll move to the next question, which is distinguish between voluntary unemployment and involuntary unemployment. So voluntary unemployment refers to a situation in which worker is not willing to work at a current rate of wages. Okay, like if the employer is giving him that particular wage, that particular person is not willing to work for that particular job. Okay, wherein in other hand, involuntary unemployment is a situation wherein people are willing to work, okay, but at the current rate of wages, but they are not getting proper job. Okay, they are not getting any work. That is involuntary unemployment. So involuntary unemployment, it occurs when people are not getting any work even though they are willing to work, okay, at the existing wage rate. So whatever the employer is going to give the wage rate for them, they are ready to work but they are not getting any job. The company fails to create enough job because planned output is lower than the potential output. Okay, now the next point is voluntary unemployment is not considered in the estimate of total unemployment in a country, whereas involuntary unemployment is considered in the estimation of unemployment in the economy. Okay, then we'll move to the next question, that is explain components of monetary policy. Now here with regards to components of monetary policy, we'll learn about bank rate, then open market operation, what are cash reserve ratio, what are SLR and all, and margin requirements. So bank rate is nothing but it is a rate at which central bank lends money to the commercial bank. So whatever the central bank gives money to the commercial bank, now central bank is the Reserve Bank of India, and the other commercial bank, it gives money to the other commercial bank like Bank of India, then State Bank of India and all. So now they lends the money in order to correct the situation of excess demand. Okay, so here in order to correct the situation of excess demand, bank rate is increased over here. Okay, so this increase the rate of interest and credit becomes costly, so the demand for credit is reduced, implying a reduction in aggregate demand, okay, as required to correct the excess demand. Okay, so this is what bank rate is, where the central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India, lends money to the commercial bank. Then second point is open market operations. Open market operation is nothing but here there is a buying and selling of government securities like shares, bonds, debentures and all. So open market operations refers to the sale and purchase of government security by the central bank. Okay, so when cash balance is to be reduced, the central bank tries to sell the securities, and by selling the securities, here the sale of securities sucks purchasing power from the market consequently, and here the aggregate demand is reduced. And on the other hand, what happens is cash balance needs to be increased, the central bank tries to buy the security. Okay, so here open market operation is nothing but buying and selling of the securities by the central bank. Okay, the next is cash reserve ratio, that is CRR. Cash reserve ratio is nothing but it refers to the ratio between cash reserve of the commercial bank with the central bank. So it's like commercial bank has to keep a certain amount of money with the commercial bank, okay, and its total deposits. So commercial banks are required to maintain minimum CRR, that is cash reserve ratio. So they have to maintain certain percentage with the central bank. Now here cash reserve ratio is raised to correct the situation of excess demand. So a rise in cash reserve ratio reduces the reserves of high powered money with commercial bank. Okay, and this reduces the capacity to create credit. So this is what CRR is. Then we'll move to next, that is SLR. SLR is nothing but statutory liquidity ratio. So here it is a ratio of the liquidity asset and total asset of the commercial bank. So the commercial banks are required to maintain certain minimum amount that is which is called as SLR, as fixed by the central bank. So central banks directs them to keep certain reserve with them. Okay. Now, this is why, because during the situation of excess demand, statutory liquidity ratio is raised, and this reduces credit creation or capacity of the commercial bank. Then, margin requirement. Margin requirement is nothing but it is a minimum down payment the borrower has to make while if you want loan, then you have to make some margin requirement, that is like the minimum down payment you have to make. Okay, so it refers to the minimum down payment that the borrower has to make as the percentage of their total borrowing from commercial bank. Okay, so margin requirement is raised to correct the excess demand here. Then the moral suasion. Moral suasion, it refers to the pressure, okay, moral pressure on the commercial bank by the central bank to be liberal in lending during a situation of deficient demand and to be selective in lending during the situation of excess demand. Next question is, explain the meaning of investment multiplier. Investment multiplier is also called as output multiplier, and we denote this as this. This is a formula for that. Investment multiplier is K over here. Now it means that it refers to the number by which change in investment. So investment we denote as this. Okay, change in investment, that is investment. Change in investment multiplies to become change in output. Okay, output or change in income here, that is called as investment multiplier, and we denote this as K. Okay, now it is measured as the ratio between changes in output divided by income and change in investment. Okay, so this is how we denote changes in investment multiplier, or it is also called as output multiplier. So here K we denote as a multiplier, then change in Y is change in output or change in income, then this I is change in investment. Okay, so this is what investment multiplier is. Now we'll move to the MCQs, and the first MCQ is, the ratio of change in savings to change in income is known as marginal propensity to save. Next MCQ, what is the ratio of change in consumption to a change in income called? So here now the ratio of change in consumption to change in income is called as marginal propensity to consume, because here they have used the word consumption. So the answer will be marginal propensity to consume. Next, if aggregate demand is less than the aggregate supply at full employment level, it is called as deficient demand. And the last MCQ is, what is the ratio of change in income to a change in investment called? So it is called as investment multiplier or output multiplier. Thank you for watching the video.